So, Natasha, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad to talk to you and hear about your journey as a kids yoga teacher. So, we'll kind of start at the beginning of yoga for you. So, when did you first discover yoga, and then how did that impact your life?
I would say it was after my first child was born. So it was about 8 years ago, and I was getting into fitness more because the whole pressure thing of getting your body back and all that stuff, and I felt so pressured. But also I had chronic pain at the time, I had been dealing with for years. The pregnancy kind of helped, but then it kind of come back a bit after the pregnancy. So I was trying to get into all this fitness stuff, and I was doing running, and there's so many hills near where I was living at the time. It was actually just hills. um, and I really needed to balance that somehow because it was killing me. So it
Mm.
was literally just to balance out the fitness. And I think it was yoga with Adrian I started with. Um, and she was great. She was really made it, um, I think she made it quite accessible. Like it's not too full on. It was quite just like pose based, and that's just what I wanted at the time. I wasn't very spiritual at that time. So yeah,
And that's through on YouTube, right? Yoga with Adrian.
it is. She's very popular now. I'm not sure
Mm.
if she was that as popular when I found her, but she must have been for me to find her. But yeah, she's doing amazing. She has loads of free videos, and I would recommend it to anyone, like especially starting out. Really good
Mm.
videos.
So, from there, from kind of doing the yoga to balance out all the other working out you were doing and kind of taking the physical practice on, is there a
Yeah.
point when you started to realize, oh, I think there's more to this yoga
Yeah.
than these poses?
Yeah, that's the thing. It led them to discovering the philosophy of yoga, and opening up to that spiritual side of things, because it just wasn't that for me to start with. I didn't know about it. There wasn't, if you're not following yoga teachers and you're not listening to yoga teachers, I can see why people would think, oh, yoga is just stretching with the breath. Um, because if that's all you're seeing, and you're not having the conversations, you're not listening to the conversations, you're not learning about what yoga really is, then, well, you're not going to know.
Hmm. So that kind of, I'm going to jump ahead to a question I was going to ask later, but I noticed on your website you talk about how yoga can't be pictured, it has to be experienced. And I think that that message is so important in this, especially with social media images of yoga and fancy poses and people thinking, oh, you have to be able to touch your toes and all this kind of thing. So, can you just expand on that a little more about
Yeah, I'd
yoga
love to.
needing to
Yeah,
be experienced? Yeah.
it is because, like, as I said, I felt all that pressure around that time to be a certain way, to look a certain way, and all of this. And when I actually become a personal trainer before I dived more into the yoga. And I never felt good enough.
Mhm.
I always felt like I need to be fitter, I need to be this, and I need to do this. And it's such a shame. It's such a shame. And then with the yoga, because I was only seeing the pose side of it, I was thinking I'd love to be a yoga teacher, but I'm not good enough there either. But deepening my practice, I realized, oh, it doesn't have to look a certain way.
Mhm.
I don't need to be able to do that. I don't need to do the splits and do handstands. Like, I can actually practice yoga without doing any of that. And in fact, the poses is just like the teeniest bit of it. And it's so welcoming. Yoga just is so accepting for who you are as you are in that exact moment on that exact day. And you don't need to bounce back, get the body back, do this, do that, or be a certain way. It's just you are you, and you are a divine being having this human experience. And that's what it is. It's a human experience, and you're rocking it.
I love that so much. And I want to just accentuate what you're saying about this bouncing back culture after having a baby. Um, it's so toxic because it's like, what are we bouncing back to? Aren't we all progressing and ever evolving? And it's just unrealistic, and we're obviously going to change. We've given birth to a human. So like on so many levels, spiritually, every level there's change. So to be in that culture of like, I need to bounce back, and then realizing, wait a second, maybe that's not true. Maybe I can be present with who I am. That's just so powerful.
Yeah, I think you put it beautifully there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, how did you then go from deepening your yoga to then deciding that you wanted to share it with kids?
I always wanted to work with kids. I was actually on a childcare course. I was headed to be a teacher. And then I got sick again. It was like, got sick the first time, had to quit school, joined school for something else, and then I got really sick again. And so it just wasn't meant to be. And then with all the pain stuff, I thought I wouldn't be able to find any work, to be honest, because I was just in so much pain. But then I did carry on with the fitness and the yoga and all of that. And actually, the more I looked after my body and my health on a mental and emotional way, as well as a physical way, I just started feeling better. And I was like, I can actually do this. So I started working in a gym. They told me no the first time I went there. I joined the gym. I went to some classes. I applied for a job. They said no. And I went back a year later. I want this job. I got it. Because I don't give up. And then there was this training for kids yoga. And I was like, I was still like, oh, I'm not sure I could teach adults yoga. And I've always wanted to work with kids. So that opened the door, really. That really opened the door. And that's when my yoga practice really took off. Like before, it had been very physically based. But after learning the kids yoga, and then they do touch on the 8 limbs of yoga and all of that. So that, and once I learn about something, I need to go right in. Then I want to learn more and more. So I dived really into that because I want to teach the kids, and I want to know what I'm talking about, right? I want to know where the practice come from. I want to know all of this so that I can share this and share it in a way that it's meant to be shared, that it's not just this physical practice of let's do all these fancy poses. I want them to get so much more than that out of it.
Yeah. I'm so happy that in kids yoga, I feel like in general, it's much more inclusive of the whole practice of yoga. There's more, discussion and permission to incorporate all 8 limbs. Whereas right now, at least most adult yoga classes are the poses and some probably breathing, maybe touching on meditation, but there's not as much room right now in adult yoga for that side of it. So I'm so glad like we're teaching these kids in this way, because then I can imagine when they're adults, if they start teaching, I think maybe there'll be more of a transformation in yoga, which
Yeah, because you touched on an important point there, like in adults classes, it's go there. Your theme might be around a certain limb or anything like that, and you might touch on it, but there's not a lot of space to dive deep and explore unless you go into a workshop or something.
right.
But with kids, there's so many different opportunities to explore this through games, through stories, through arty activities. There's just so much you can do. There's so much more creative freedom.
Yes, exactly. Well, tell me about how then you came to start your company, Amazing Me Yoga.
Yeah, so I started Amazing Me Yoga, and it was actually as soon as I did the first training, I was just so pumped up and excited, and I was like, yeah, let's do this now. And it was magical. It was so good. I started getting regular classes together. Pandemic kind of froze that a little bit. So even though I feel like I've been doing this for ages, it's back into kind of starting again. Like the world's just opening up again, and it feels like just starting again with it all.
So you're in Ireland right now?
Yeah.
So how is it there right now with COVID? Are things
So we have not been allowed to teach in-person classes for some time now, but studios are allowed to open back on the 18th of this month, depending on when this podcast
right.
is coming out.
So in September?
So in September,
Okay.
18th of September, we can start our classes again. And so I have my classes lined up, ready to go, because it was a tough one trying to I did some stuff online, and I actually really like the online stuff for the adult yoga, and I found it challenging. I found it really challenging with the kids yoga. But I've navigated that a bit now. Now we're allowed in-person classes. I'm like still like, oh, now we've got something to go out online. I'm late to the game, but in-person classes, you really feed off their energy and what they want and their ideas, because I mean the class isn't about us and what we want to teach and what we want to do. We have ideas, we have plans, we have all of that, but ultimately it's going to go how they want it to go.
Yes, absolutely. And that's harder to do when you're online, and kids, you have to have them mute themselves, and then you can't hear everyone. And it's a whole other thing. So I do hope your in-person classes start up, and that things, I'm like, knock on wood, everything goes well and that they can keep running.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, I know that
now.
right. I know, it's like you never know. I know the pandemic was probably a massive challenge for your business. I also wanted to ask you, just in running your own company, what has been the greatest challenge? And then on the flip side, what has been the greatest reward?
My biggest challenge, I suppose, I have two children. So one is 8 and one is 3, and I'm a single mom. So time has been time to set aside for the business and balance it all out. But the little man has just started Crash 5 days. I have some mornings free now, and I feel like I'm getting a bit of time to do everything. Because before, like, I would get a small break. I would get this small window, and in that window, I was trying to clean the house, do all the work, do all the things, record videos, and have time for me. And by the end of it, I would just have this massive headache because I had just tried to cram too much in to one small window. So that was probably the biggest challenge.
And what has been the greatest reward so far in running your own business?
There's this one kid who used to come into my class, and when he come into the class the first time, he would not take his jacket off from over his head. And his parents were like, come on, take that off. And I was like, oh, no, that's okay. You can keep it over you. And he wouldn't join the group. So I set him up this yoga mat at the side of the room. And I said, you're just going to be an observant owl today. So you get to be here under your cover, and you get to use your owl eyes, and you can see exactly what's going on. I said, but I have another job for you, if that's okay. I have this magic button. And what it is, it's a dial, sorry, not a button. And you get to control the volume. So if we're being too loud, you just turn it down, or you might want to hear us some more, so you just turn it up. He loved that. He loved the idea. And so he's there with his button. So even though he wasn't joining the group, he was taking part. He was doing it in his own way. And then the next week, the owl come a little bit closer. And I think the third week, then we asked him if it was okay if we could gather around him. So he wasn't quite ready to come in, but maybe we could come to you. And yeah, that was okay. And then I think it was like the fourth or fifth, he would, no coat, running around with us, joining in the game, not just with me, but with the others. And he just felt so safe and so happy and was so included. And it's moments like that makes it worth it. That just is.
Yeah, it is. It's so beautiful. It brings tears to my eyes, because there's so many children, people that maybe aren't ready to join in on something in the traditional sense immediately. And the fact that, and I'm sure his parents too, I'm sure as a parent, I could say, like, you feel pressure sometimes, or you feel embarrassed, like, is this a reflection of me? And to have you say, oh no, this is fine, and to kind of make him feel safe and find a way to incorporate so he's in the class, I'm sure for his parents as well, they were probably really relieved. And
they were so happy. They were delighted to see how he joined in.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Those kids, those stories, that's why we all do what we do. It's the best. Oh, I love it. Well, I wanted to ask you how you've taken care of yourself. I've been asking people, like, during the pandemic. So as a mom of two, a single mom of two, and you said you had whatever, that little short window. Were there any other ways in these past 18 months that you learned to take care of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like to say I did this and it was magical and it set up my day and then I floated on a cloud and everything was so zen and perfect. I would love, love to
I
say
wish,
that.
right?
It was messy. It was really messy. And it was finding moments in the messiness. So it's not always going to look the same. Sometimes it was sticking SpongeBob on so that I could go and practice yoga on my own for a little bit, or take a bubble bath or something. And just getting outside as well with the kids. That's one of the quotes I love is, the children can't bounce off the walls if you take the walls away.
Ooh,
So
I love that.
yeah, that helped, just getting out. But just taking the time where you can, and trying to let go of the mum guilt that, like, every day has to be an adventure for them. Like, no, it's okay for them to be bored so that you can keep your sanity.
Mm. Thank you for that, and acknowledging the messiness, and like you said, finding the moments in the messiness. I think that kind of encapsulates motherhood in general, but pandemic motherhood, it's like a whole other level to that, and having no breaks. And that mom guilt, that's something.
It creeps up, doesn't
It
it?
creeps up. And it's so important to talk about it and to just say like that it's okay, and to just acknowledge that for people, because yeah, that it's sneaky. It always just kind of it's always watching, it feels like.
You can have the best day. Like you would have took the kids out, spent all your money on them, got them ice cream, got them chocolate after the ice cream, done all of that, had such an exciting day. And then you didn't give them something, and now you're the worst mom, and
Mhm.
then now you're fighting, and then you're like, oh no, maybe I am a bad mom, and you're not,
Exactly.
because you just had an amazing day and they're just tired.
I know it is when I lay down at night, then I'm like, oh, I yelled today. It's like, what about the like 100 other things that you did that were wonderful? We just kind of.
And you think that, that's important too, that like we teach yoga and emotions and feeling your emotions and all of that, and people think you must be so chilled out with your kids and you must be such a gentle parent. And you're like, um, sometimes.
Right. Well, I'm just a human parent.
I think the important thing, if you do lose it, is to have a conversation about it, though, like, and own up if you need to apologize, and even ask them, do you feel like there's anything I need to apologize for today? And a lot of time they'll be like, no, what you on about?
Right. They didn't even.
And you're there feeling so bad, and they're like, no.
Yes. Oh, that's good. I like that. Well, like yesterday we had a hard day. My daughter started kindergarten, but then had a dentist appointment too, which was like traumatic. It was just too much in a day. By the end of the day, she's still talking and talking and talking. And I had to be like, you know what, I'll stay in here with you, but I really need quiet now because it's been a long day. And she's like, okay. And so I was hugging her, but it's like that guilt feeling, like asking for that, feeling guilty for asking. And then I'm like, no, because what I'm doing is modeling something
Yeah,
that I need and asking for it. And I would hope that she learns to do the same thing. So
will have no problem telling you either. Like they
yeah.
don't beat around their words. I can remember my niece one time, with she was with my brother, and my brother's talking to this, I think it was his boss at the time. He was talking to her for a while. They get round the corner, I think in hearing shot still, and she just says, oh, people are so boring. They will let you know if you
They
stop
do.
talking. They have their boundaries.
It's so true. They're so brutally honest, it's like so funny sometimes. And sometimes as a parent, it's like, oh, that one hurt. But you're right. Keep us accountable. The kids we teach and the kids we're raising, for sure. Well, I'd love to.
Pull you up on things as well. Like if
What'd
you,
you say?
they will pull you up on things.
Mm.
If you have been teaching them something and then you mess up, they'll be like, well, you said.
Oh, yes, that's true. And I know, and sometimes the first reaction's like being defensive, and then it's like, oh, they're right.
And then, yeah, you really got to like just go, oh, yeah, I did say that. That is true. I need to actually listen to this with my own advice now.
Right, exactly. Well, I'd love to hear your kids' yoga gem, your kind of golden rule. If you were to give advice to someone sharing yoga with kids, what would that be for you?
Have fun. That would be definitely like, have fun with it. Don't start getting caught up with correcting postures or going, no, 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 we're doing this. Even though I do like act like that sometimes, I'm like, oh, come on, come on, let's do this. It's giving, like with my own kids, I mean, But yeah, like giving them that space to be creative and letting them explore their own ideas, because it really gives them that sense of empowerment. And it is a practice. Sometimes you do want to do your own practice. And I think when you're practicing with kids, you have to keep it separate, because it's not like an adult's practice because you instantly become a climbing frame, and it can be very challenging. So just have fun. And one thing I think, if that is really hard to do, sometimes I find it difficult, and like playing, because if you start thinking, oh, but I need to clean the house, I need to do this, I need to do that. So as I say, find moments in that mess to set yourself a timer, 20 minutes. Set yourself a timer, 20 minutes. This is the amount of time we're going to practice for today. And then you got no mind chatter going on that you need to be doing this, because you've set that time. That time is to be present with them and play and have fun. And taking that away from it just going on and on forever can really allow you to just be present and let yourself have fun with it then.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so much easier to shut off all the other things going on in your head if you have that, okay, we've got this set time. And for kids too, timers,
Yeah.
I know, like my daughter's 5, and the sense of time, it's like not there at all. It's like, how many more minutes till school? And it's like, days away, that kind. But to have that timer, I think that's a really, really useful tool. Well, I'd love people to be able to find you and to find your classes. So can you point everyone in the direction of your website and social media?
So my website is www.amazingmeyoga.ie. And then on Instagram, I am amazing_me_yoga.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'd love to connect and hear from you all.
Great. Thank you so much. It was so great to talk to you, and thanks for making the time.
It's so nice to put a face to the voice. I have been listening to I discovered your podcast when I was looking for yoga podcasts. I was like, I wonder if there's a kids one. And there was.
Oh, I'm so glad you found it.
I really enjoyed listening to it. So thank you for all that you do and for holding the space for me to come and share. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk soon.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.